I'm Katie Couric. The search is on tonight for a group of American civilians kidnapped and reportedly being held for ransom in Iraq. Silicone gel breast implants are back. The FDA has approved them, but are they safe? A brewing battle in the new Congress over the best prescription for sky-high drug prices. And Steve Hartman takes us to the great Thanksgiving turkey rescue. That wasn't.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Hi, everyone. It would be hard to think of a more dangerous job than working security in Iraq. That's what a group of private contractors was planning to do when they were kidnapped yesterday, shortly after their convoy crossed into the country from Kuwait. Most of them have since been released, but at last report, 4 Americans and 1 Austrian are still being held. An Iraqi police official says there's been a ransom demand. He didn't say what it is. Meanwhile, coalition forces have launched an all-out search in the border area. Elizabeth Palmer has the story.
This is the road where the 46-truck convoy was ambushed, reportedly at a phony Iraqi police checkpoint on the main highway near the Kuwaiti border. Gunmen hijacked 19 of the trucks, along with 14 drivers and security guards. This video, shot by one driver in a convoy under fire last year, shows just how deadly a job it can be.
I'm taking fire!
Statistics tell the rest of the story. At least 10 contractors were killed last month alone, 5 of them American. 39-year-old Paul Rubin from Minnesota is still missing after yesterday's ambush. His mother said she wanted the kidnappers to think what it's like for a mother to want her son back. Faced with an Iraqi police checkpoint like this one, the convoy drivers would have had no choice but to stop. More and more these days, men who look like police are criminals in disguise. Last month, Iraqi authorities rolled out brand new police uniforms they claimed couldn't be faked, but it hasn't helped. Increasingly, the sight of a policeman inspires not confidence, but fear. And that, says Firaz Ibrahim, is because we cannot trust who is real or who is not. Most worrying for Iraqis, they believe Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki and his government have now lost control of the security forces. It's widely believed that the police force is now so corrupted that kidnappings and ambushes like the one that hit the convoy yesterday are bound to increase. Katie?
And Liz, aren't these convoys heavily armed, though?
They are, but they're very, very long. 46 trucks in yesterday's convoy. And so well-armed attackers, well-organized attackers can hit the middle and get away with their victims before help arrives.
Liz Palmer in Baghdad for us tonight. Liz, thank you and stay safe. Chief Investigative Correspondent Armand Katayan has done a lot of stories about American civilians working in Iraq and the dangers they face there. He's here now with more about that. Armand?
A lot of dangers, Katie. You know, tens of thousands of civilians are deployed in Iraq, providing logistical support to the troops. Most are motivated by patriotism and the hefty pay. But as we have seen over and over, the danger is great and the toll is high. Crisscrossing Iraq, they are tempting targets for attack. The hundreds of civilian truck drivers who form a shadow army, hauling food and supplies to military bases.
All my stuff's out of here.
Ohio truck driver Robert Rowe, a former Marine, was shot while leading a convoy into Baghdad.
We got hit from both sides and on top of a bridge. And then a round come through and tagged me in the leg.
That's my truck after the last ambush I went through.
Cindy Morgan was Robert Rowe's convoy commander. A rare female truck driver in Iraq, she's written a book about working in a war zone.
We live, we eat, we sleep pretty much side by side with our troops. And when we get shot at, we bleed and we die beside them.
Since the war began, more than 600 civilians employed by American companies have been killed, more than 7,000 injured. At 80 grand or more a year, they're some of the best paid truck drivers in the world. But for some, even that big a reward doesn't justify the risk.
A lot of them are like I am. There's not enough money to go play Russian roulette with your life.
West Virginia truck driver Brian Rawl found his life on the line while driving a fuel tanker at night.
I heard a pop and a glass crackling, and then it felt like a 50-pound sledgehammer hit me upside the head.
Somehow he maintained control of his truck even after taking a sniper's bullet in the head.
If I feel a headache starting, feels like a steel band being tightened around the base of your skull.
Many of America's shadow soldiers find themselves suffering, but still proud of their decision to back our troops in Iraq.
Gave you a sense of pride. And if I could help out again, I'd do it too. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
And many of these civilian contractors told us they fight a new battle when they come home. They have a difficult time collecting health benefits and workers' compensation for their physical and emotional injuries, Katie.
Armin, thank you so much. Meanwhile, no surprise, President Bush faced plenty of questions about Iraq as he became only the second American president to visit Vietnam since that war. He's in Hanoi for an economic summit, but he couldn't get away from the inevitable comparisons between Iraq and the war America lost in Vietnam. Chief White House correspondent Jim Axelrod is traveling with the president.
Meeting in Vietnam with one of his strongest allies on Iraq, Australian Prime Minister John Howard, President Bush would not rule out sending even more troops to fight the war there.
We've got a lot of people looking at different tactical adjustments. Once I make up my mind what those will be, I'll share it with him right off the bat.
With pressure building at home to bring U.S. soldiers back from Iraq, Mr. Bush was asked if America's experience in Vietnam held any lessons for today.
We tend to want there to be instant success in the world, and the task in Iraq is going to take a while.
The president's trip to Vietnam is inviting the last comparison the White House wants made. That this war is starting to look more and more like this war. The parallels are plain. For President Lyndon Johnson, Vietnam was part of a broader ideological battle against communism. For President Bush, Iraq is the central front in fighting terrorism.
Even without the Iraq War, Mr. Bush's trip here was bound to fuel his critics, who've never bought his explanation about how he managed to avoid military service in Vietnam. But Iraq raises the stakes and changes the focus from what he did during the Vietnam War to whether he's creating another one.
On a just-released audio tape, President Johnson in 1966 shared his goals for Vietnam.
We'll come home and we'll be out of there just as soon as you can have anybody that will guarantee stability.
Mr. Bush's remarks today had an eerie echo as he spoke about Iraq.
We're not leaving until this job is done, until Iraq can govern, sustain, and defend itself.
Right now, U.S. troops are bogged down, domestic opposition is growing, a presidency is under fire. A description that fits Iraq and loudly resonates here as well. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, Hanoi.
Major news tonight from the Food and Drug Administration. After 14 years, it's lifting what has been a virtual ban on silicone breast implants, but there still are safety concerns. Our medical correspondent, Dr. John LaPook, is here. John, first of all, let's talk about why they were taken off the market in the first place.
Right. In 1992, they were restricted because there was concern about autoimmune disease like lupus and arthritis. But it turns out this was looked at very carefully by the Institute of Medicine, by the New England Journal, and really they found no increased incidence of this problem.
So they've been reintroduced. Are they different now?
Well, you know, I just heard the call from the FDA, and they said that the manufacturing process is felt to be improved. There still is the potential, though, for leakage, and if the leakage happens, the doctor and the patient won't know, and so they're recommending periodic MRIs to actually try to monitor it.
Now, saline solution implants are also available, right? So why not just use those over the silicone if they are deemed much safer, right?
Well, the plastic surgeons really feel, and the patients feel, often that it's a lot more natural feeling to use a silicone. And I've had patients who have actually elected to have their saline implants taken out because the silicone was much sort of more natural feeling.
And finally, as you mentioned, there are possible complications you need to watch out for.
You need to watch out for. There can be leakage, local irritation. And by the way, the FDA, this is not the end of the deal. They're going to have a very strict monitoring program. 40,000 women are going to be followed over 10 years. So if there's a problem that develops, they're hoping that they can detect it early and then take appropriate measures.
All right. Dr. John LaPook, thank you, John. In the South tonight, stories of heartbreak but also survival after a string of deadly storms that left 12 people dead. 8 of them died in Riegelwood, North Carolina, when a tornado sliced through their mobile home park. 4 children were critically injured there. One man says his mattress saved him when his home was destroyed.
I'm the only adult that was in one of these trailers that's here to talk about it. The rest of them are little kids, and they still hurt up real bad.
The governor is studying whether to install tornado warning sirens across North Carolina There were none in Riegelwood. In Fresno, California, hundreds of people stormed a Best Buy for a chance to buy, what else? PlayStation 3. A lot of unsatisfied customers, though. The store had only 34 in stock. And he was a college football legend. Former Michigan coach Bo Schembechler died today, just a day before the Wolverines face Ohio State, with the #1 ranking on the line. The Michigan-Ohio State rivalry was at its peak in the 1970s when Schembechler went head-to-head with his mentor, Woody Hayes. Schembechler, who had a history of heart disease, collapsed today while taping a local sports show. He was 77 years old. There's much more CBS News straight ahead. And coming up next, holding down the cost of prescription drugs, how the new Democratic-controlled Congress hopes to do just that.